Hello, everybody. This is the ED Show number 108. I am joined with Dima from Socks for Cocks out of Moscow, Russia. Welcome, Dima. How you doing, man?
Hi there.
All right.
Not bad, man. How you doing?
Not bad. Great backdrop you got going on back there, man.
Yeah, this is our stage banner from 2013. When we released our first album, Old School Rocks. This is what it was.
Cool. So how many releases you got out right now?
We released two albums so far. The first one, Old School Rocks, was released in 2013, and the new one called Fast Fun Punk just got out recently in February.
Okay, well, which one do I have on Bandcamp right now?
You're having the latter one.
Okay. And that's the only one that's on Bandcamp, right?
Right.
All right. Uh, so I got to ask you, I'm in Florida. I don't know if you've been to the United States, obviously, because your English is wonderful. I'm in Florida. What's the temperature over there right now?
It's about 30 Fahrenheit, I think.
35 degrees Fahrenheit. And how many days of the year do you deal with that? And you're in Moscow, right?
Right. I mean, it's moderately snowing now, but the spring is not far, so we hope to get some sun in about a week or so. It's I think it's about like everywhere else. We got winter, summer, spring, autumn. It's just
Yeah.
perfectly uh, perfectly exact season wise.
Well, we don't
We
have
got the winter in the winter, summer in the summer, and everything else.
we don't have perfect right now. So we're in spring right now, but they say the global warming is affecting in the United States. It's affecting how the weather is. We had a short winter. I mean, but we had cold weather 2 weeks ago. So I mean, for Florida, cold weather is 40s at night and 60s during the day. But for March, that was really unusual. But anyways,
Uh, you know, yeah.
yeah,
Global warming affects us here too. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to have winters. It was minus 30, minus 40 degrees Celsius. So very cold. I mean, just freezing cold. Now you're staying somewhere like 30, 20 Fahrenheit, no more.
wow,
Yeah. So
wow,
I think it's global warming. Okay.
yeah, that's unusual, man. That's weird. Um, so how long have you had this band?
Spent on the album.
No, just how long has the band been together? I mean, like, you know,
The band's been around since 2013. I've been toying with the idea since forever. I mean, I used to play in a lot of bands in the 90s. I was one of the original member of the band called Elysium, who are now really superstars in the punk scene. They have the Ramones level of popularity in Russia. And I was with them until the year 2000. And then I had to leave for the States. And then, the usual routine work, family. I have six kids since then, and in 2013, I was thinking, shit, if I don't start a band, I'm fucking die. So I just quit my job, started working at home, and finally formed a band. It was very hard to find a good lineup here because all the musicians here are busy somewhere, or they do not necessarily share your taste in music. So it's very hard to find a drummer here. But anyway, in 2013, I found a couple of guys, and we started out Sucks for Cox, first doing covers of Better Religion, Lawnmower Death, Misfits, stuff like that, just kind of getting tight, and slowly started to do our own shit, So the next year we already recorded the album, so it's pretty fast.
yeah. And that brings me to my next question. When I first heard it, I really heard a lot of toy dolls, man. Did you
Exactly, yeah.
mean for that? Are they a big influence?
Yeah, sure. I always had a soft spot for bands who have a funny bone. You know what I mean? Like SOD, MOD, the Toy Dolls, Lawnmower Death from England, Stolz and the Brieftaube from Germany, Rumble Militia from Germany. I mean, everything which is fast and fun is up my alley. And the Toy Dolls, sure, it's primary influence, yeah. But it's also influenced by a lot of 80s hardcore, 80s thrash and crossover. I mean, if you hear the album, you could hear even classic gore grind a la Carcass, you know. So it's Toy Dolls mixed up with a lot of influences I used to listen to when I was growing up.
I'm sorry about the background noise. My dog's been really sick, so I got to get him to the vets. Anyways, so you're going back to the 80s and stuff, so obviously you've been around for a little while. In Russia, how did you get your music back in the 80s? How did you get your influences? I mean, there was no internet back then, unless I mean, I don't know, maybe there was, but, you know, how, you know how countries are ahead of each other in technology and stuff. You know, it's like the Russian and USA space race, you know. I mean, they were ahead, you guys were ahead, and we were ahead, and back and forth seesaw. How did you get your music back in the day?
You know, back in the 80s, you know, most of that music from the West was banned in the Soviet Union. I mean, even bands like Kiss and Scorpions and Led Zeppelin, they were banned. You know, they were considered, like Sex Pistols too, they were considered capitalist music, you know. But in the 80s, there were several flea markets where you could buy LPs. And one LP used to cost an average person's salary. I remember telling my dad, hey, you know, can you buy me this Rigor Mortis LP? You know, and he says, are you crazy? It's my entire salary, man. So it cost 100 rubles, which was an engineer's salary at the time.
Holy shit.
But anyway, what we did, we kind of just, you know, everybody paid their share. I mean, you know, as much as you could. I pay 10 rubles, you pay 20 rubles, I pay 5 rubles. So we could buy one LP, and then we would trade it for something else just to listen to, or just, you know, to exchange it for. My first LP was DRI Crossover, and I had to sell some stupid hard rock band from Yugoslavia to get it, you know. So I was introduced to crossover right away. It was called hardcore at that time. I mean, we perceived thrash metal and hardcore and crossover is the same thing. I mean, it was called thrash metal or hardcore sometimes. So my first LP was DRI, and that was very precious to me. Then I got my Rumble Militia, you know, SOD, obviously, and it just started growing from there. I had to work a lot to get those LPs. You know, one time I used to work for a month as a book salesman to get a CD for $20. So that was Soviet era, you know, music collection. We also had tape trading and stuff. I mean, a lot of bands were exchanging tapes between each other across the country. So I think it was like everywhere else. Yeah, and Moscow was the epicenter of all the music. I mean, you would go to Moscow, go to the flea market, and you'd be like, wow, you know, what's this, what's that? And I heard the Toy Dolls on the Moscow flea market. You know, I was checking out some metal stuff. I think I was buying a D-side hat. And there was something playing in the background. I was like, wow, what was that? You know, so I rushed to that kiosk or stalls, whatever, and I go, what's that band? And I go, this Toy Dolls, man. That's it. I was sold, man, You know, in that style, we only heard Lawnmower Death at that time, and the Toy Dolls was really a discovery for everybody. So I think I brought the Toy Dolls to my region, I think.
So did I hear you correctly? You were buying a Deicide hat?
Yeah. You know, I used to play in a lot of black and death metal bands too.
Hey.
And punk was kind of like going hand in hand with that.
Well, I say that because one of my ex-coworkers was the father of two of the guys that were in the original band, the Benton brothers, or not the Bentons, but
wow.
And you know, they're based right here from where I live.
Hoffman.
Yeah, the Hoffmans. And one of my friends I was actually talking to yesterday, his sister was married to Glenn Benton. So, and I'm friends with his sister on Facebook. So, they're divorced now, but it's a small world. It's just kind of weird you brought him up. I just wanted to bring that up. Tampa was considered at one time the death metal capital of the world. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what you're talking about, man. Yeah.
So, but anyways, That's really cool. I mean, people don't realize, I assume you were talking when you were buying this stuff was in the back in the '80s, maybe even '90s. I don't know how far behind you were. Crossover came out in '86, so I don't know if you got it in
Yeah,
'86, but
I got it in '87.
yeah, I saw them on that tour. It was a great show. Uh, and it's really cool that we can relate like that because I could just go to the record store and get that if I wanted to, or get a tape. All it took was just. But you guys, you'd have to, I mean, cut off your right arm to get it. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate. And people don't. My point being is people don't realize how good they got it, and it
Right.
really shows how much dedication you guys have. Uh, you know, just as far as music collecting. But I mean, I can't even imagine back then trying to form a band, and then being considered capitalist, uh, in a Soviet in a communist era. And then now this day and age over here, I don't know if you see it, but it's like every other band has got the Russian sickle on it, and this communist, it's trendy, you know what I mean? And it's like I kind of laugh, about it, but back in the '80s, it was just so frowned upon in the '70s. I'm talking in my time and your time. I don't know what it was like even before that, but uh, it was a touchy subject. If you were called a commie, it's like being called a Nazi, or it was it's big fucking deal. So what I mean, how is that? How is communism now? Is there any people that still embrace it over there or anything? Or
Well, before I dwell on the modern communism, I could add that at that time, um, going out to the street was suicidal if you looked any different from anybody else. I mean, if you had an earring, a knuckle, a bracelet, a t-shirt, anything, you would have everybody turning their heads or saying something. That was the best thing. At worst, you got street fights all the time because the guys like us were called non-formals at that time. So, and the whole non-formal community was really, united forces because, I could just meet a hippie on the street and he could just take me home, bring me some dinner, and I could spend the night at him because everybody was against the authority. It was one big family. I mean, hippies, punks, metalheads, hardcore kids, Krishnaites, whatever. I mean, we were all in the same boat, but now, scene wise, it's pretty much, segmented. Now, some members of the subculture may fight each other. It's not how it used to be. I mean, the punks may, fight with metalheads. Metalheads may fight with hippies. Hippies may fight with somebody else.
yeah,
So this is kind of a thing that I miss from the Soviet Union. There was a total unity of the scene, no matter what kind of music you played.
I'm
And modern communism, yeah, sure. I mean, you got some modern communists. Not a lot of them, but yeah, there are always some. I think it never dies. The Lenin is still in the mausoleum. While he's still there, I think his communism is gonna live.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up the first part in your first part of your answer, the unity and stuff between different genres or groups. I mean, I know this day and age, people don't even. If you're really into music, you really don't really like to classify yourself. But unfortunately, to get yourself across, sometimes you have to explain to people this is what we sound like and stuff. And then to me, it's like you shouldn't classify a band. You should, if you like the band, you like them for who they are, not because you think that they sound like somebody. You know what I mean? Uh, it's
Yeah.
kind of one of those things. It's just like if you want to stand out from the crowd, don't listen to what your friend says why he likes the band. Listen for yourself and decide if you like them for yourself. You know, and you know, it's unfortunate this day and age. I think people follow the herd, and it's if you and they think they're being original and stuff, and and being themselves, and they're not. You know what I mean? And it's just like I try to tell people to, be yourself. Don't do that. Be original, man. I mean, it's like I don't know what TV's like out there. I don't know what when you go to a show if everybody's wearing a No Effect shirt, you know what I mean, or wearing a Sex Pistols shirt or a Ramones shirt. That's great. But what about the little guys? You know what I mean? Explore. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, I like this band." You know what I mean? Maybe you'll turn somebody else on to them, and you know what I mean. Don't be afraid to do that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have you on this show is because you reached out to me, and I was like, "Hell yeah, man, this is fucking killer, man." And your reaction. I was happy for your reaction because
Same here, man.
it's when I was a kid, this is what I would do. I would go to these fanzines and shit, and I'd look for these bands, and I'd be like, I want this. I like this band. I want to share it with my friends. And then maybe somehow this small little band will come to my town and play, and then more people will like them. You know what I mean? And we made some friends. You know what I mean? This day and age, I think a lot of bands are more worried about popularity and do like my page and stuff, and not worry about what's in the content of the music, and making it the real reason why you like this band. You know what I mean? So, just keep doing what you're doing, man. And you just it seems like you're keeping it like that. Going back to the old school way of thinking. It still kind of seems like to me that the way you put yourself over in your area of the world, that you're still using old school techniques, and there's nothing wrong with that.
We're an absolutely old school band. I mean, we use only vintage equipment during recording. I mean, tube amps, tube pedals, guitars and drums made in the 70s and 50s, microphones made in the 40s and 50s, nothing transistor, nothing at all. We don't have the luxury of recording to a tape, so we're recording to the computer, but everything else, I mean, it's totally old school, and we're trying to reproduce the sound of the bands that I used to grow up listening to, like the Crumbsuckers, everything, which sounds like an old vinyl. That's music to my ears. And ironically, not a lot of bands over here, or anywhere else for that matter, really go for the old school sound. I mean, now there's this loudness war thing, you have to be louder and louder and louder, and cleaner. But we're totally worshiping the old school sound. And what you said about being original, you see, with the internet thing, there's so many bands out there. It's very hard to get your message across. This is why sometimes you have to use the names of the certain bands to appeal to the audience you hope to appeal, because, people have so much to choose from, unless you name some known band, you might not get heard.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm gonna argue with you on that. I know you being a family man, and you can only put so much time into what you got and stuff. Me, I have a lot of time on my hands, and if I like a band, I'll do my best to put them over to my friends and stuff. Like after this interview airs and stuff, I promise you, your likes on your page will go up. Not necessarily from people watching this, but I promise you, I will get you some likes, man. I promise you. You know what I mean? So I'll do whatever, and I'll see to it. With your permission, I'd like to get you on this compilation album I'm working on. It may not be, it probably won't be this next volume coming up, because I've really got to tighten the screws and get that one out, volume 2. But I've got like 3 to 4 more volumes to go. So I promise you, if you wish to be on it, I will put you on it. And then you will be, and a broader audience. People have to, you're going to be sandwiched in between some other bands that are probably pretty well known, and they're going to have to listen to you. So, I mean, either that or they push skip, you know what I mean? But, if somebody's going to hear you, you know what I mean? If it's not from this show, It's going to be from the
You know,
car.
I'll be honored. I'll be honored, of course. I mean, I was watching your previous show, and you're just, you know, saying these big names around. You know, I know this guy, I know that guy. I used to be a friend with this guy. I was like, oh my god,
Well,
he knows everybody in person.
it's not necessarily. These people are very approachable, and that's what I like about it. It's not like I'm approaching Motley Crue or fucking The Who or even I've never it would be nice to approach Johnny Rotten and Johnny Lydon, but and I've had some opportunities slightly, but it's not the top of my to do list. He's been interviewed. How many? I mean, what as far as language barriers in this show, I've been fortunate enough that everybody we've had on the show spoke very good English. It wasn't, I've never done an interview where they had a translator or anything like that. You know what I mean? I'd like to maybe, but I have to see how it goes. You know what I mean? So, thank
Maybe
you.
I could help you out with that if I bring another Russian band. who
Yeah,
does speak
yeah,
English.
yeah. Well, we can do it. We can do it. We could definitely do it. Yeah. Maybe I'll make you a part of the ED show, and you can be my correspondent. And the Soviet Union is considered what continent is the Soviet Union? Asia? What do they call that?
It's called Eurasia. I mean, it's
Eurasia.
partly in Europe, partly in Asia. You
Gotcha.
got your states which are close to the Baltics, and you got your states which are close to Turkey and and even Syria and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah. But now it's only Russia. I mean, we lost everything except Russia. I mean, I wouldn't say lost. It just, not in that sense. I mean, just Russia is Russia now. We don't have any other countries accompanying it, for better or for worse.
No, I understand. I totally understand.
But a lot of bands still communicate. And I mean, Ukrainian bands, Russian bands, whatever, Belarusian bands. We're all, in many ways, are the same community. We still sometimes play gigs together. Sometimes we, exchange our albums together. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same scene. It's harder to get across to each other these days, but obviously Soviet Union heritage lives in that sense.
I understand. I understand, comrade.
Tovarish.
What does Das Vidanya mean?
That means goodbye. You want to say goodbye to me?
No. No. How do you say cheers?
Cheers. Well, I have to translate it cheers in my head because I don't really translate anything in my head. I speak English right away.
Sure.
So cheers, I don't know, whatever, Привет. Maybe.
Biat?
Привет.
Biviet. Okay.
On our album Fast Fun Punks, we finished the album with me, opening the door and saying, "Das vidanya, motherfuckers," and slamming it. But I actually stole that quote from Peter Steele. He used that on the Carnivore album. It was called, the song was called USA for USA, and it starts with "Das vidanya, motherfuckers." So that was, again, my tribute to the U.S. scene, as strange as it might seem, saying "Das vidanya, motherfuckers" at the end of an album.
Cool.
So yeah, paying tribute to the West.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's a money conversion over there? So if I have $1 American, what's that worth over there?
If you go to Russia for shopping, you're gonna be very lucky because $1 now is 80 rubles, and the average salary would be, well, to my knowledge, 5,000 rubles maybe, which is about maybe $200. This is a minimum wage, $200. If foreigners coming here now, especially shopping for Christmas or anything, they're in luck because they have so much money, so much dollars in euros. They can buy a lot of stuff for cheap. But it's reverse in our situation. Like I used to order. I mean, if I could show you, do you see my CD collection?
Yes, I do.
So I used to buy that off eBay a lot, but now the conversion rate is kind of ruining me a little bit. So I don't think I ordered anything from eBay this year, unfortunately. But it's also the oil prices. I mean, Russia is just totally, tied with oil. The oil goes up, we're fine. The oil goes down, everybody's broke.
So how do you
and now with this oil prices going down, not a lot of eBay purchases can be made, unfortunately.
Well, how much is a gallon? Do you sell gallons of gas over there, or do you sell it by the liter? How do they sell gas?
Well, I'm not a driver. Gotta ask my wife. From what I remember, I think I won't lie. I mean, I don't remember. I have a license, but I don't drive because I will just smash people all around if I just start driving.
Is driving,
it's more a question to my wife. She's the driver.
that brings my next question up. What Did you drive over here in the United States? Did you have a car?
No, 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 no. The car and myself are sworn enemies.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
no.
I just
I asked my question being is if you compared the roadways of America compared to the roadways of Russia, because I see all these camera compilations on YouTube of the driving in Russia, and it looks like it's crazy. Everybody's got video cameras in their cars. There's all kinds of accidents and road rage. Is it crazier over there than it is over here?
Yeah, it's totally crazy. Absolutely. Like the other day, my whole family, including myself, we got in a full frontal collision. I just got into the car saying, "What's up, guys?" And the next moment, the car hits my car. Everybody got out uninjured, thankfully. But I mean, we were just, we were parked, and the guy was turning and just, smashed us full speed. Yeah, you have to be very careful. You have to observe not only just the traffic regulations, but you have to observe everything what's going on. You have to watch a passerby who may run in the wrong place in the wrong time. You have to observe all the other cars on the road. The roads themselves are, unfortunately, by Western standard, they are in terrible condition. Not so much in Moscow in the city, but in the suburbs. I mean, if you drive at night, you go into bump like crazy, because of the holes and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's why to me driving is like war. I used to drive for a year with an instructor, and I couldn't take it. I was just like a new day, a new war begins. I'm just have to be concentrated totally, absolutely. I couldn't relax, so I was thinking, fuck that. It's not convenient for my family because my wife has to, bring kids to schools and stuff. But I tried to do something else to compensate for it.
I understand. Do you have to have auto insurance over there?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But it does not cover a lot. Like now we got our car accident. But if you do everything the way it's officially supposed to be with the insurance agency, they will pay you not enough even to cover your losses. I mean, you have to be very wow. That's really cool. If this thing falls down behind me, my kids are going back home because they're going back home through the window, and if they go back home now, this thing's gonna collapse on me. But I got them out not to disturb the interview.
All right. I really
So
appreciate.
yeah, the roads are yeah.
I got you. So if we want to find your
Mhm.
music, we can find it on Bandcamp. Socks for Cox. Uh, our,
Yeah.
and you're on Facebook. Socks for Cox. Are
Sucks
you
for Pugs band on
okay?
Facebook.
Socks for Cox band. I saw you have your own individual website. It was like in Russian, and
Yeah, it's a top Russian or Soviet, if you will, post-Soviet social network. It's I wouldn't say it's our primary website because technically we have most fans there. We have like 100, 1,400 something fans over there,
wow,
and we're just starting out on Facebook, kind of starting out going west.
sure,
But I see my band Socks for Cox as I wouldn't say Western band. It's a world band targeting world audience. So it's not really targeted at the Russian audience exclusively. So, I mean, if you speak Russian, you check out the vk.com/Socks for Cox. If you're an international user, so you check out Facebook/Socks for Cox band. You know, we're all over the place. I mean, everywhere, trying to get this little album heard.
well, Dima, I got to cut this interview short, but don't think this is going to be the last time you're going to be on this show. Okay, uh, you know,
Thanks so much, man. It was really cool. Thank
yeah,
you.
man, I appreciate you doing this and stuff, and maybe we'll get you on this summer. Unless you have something major come up, and then by all means we'll get you on. Um, and we'll talk about the compilation album and stuff, and all that off the air. I appreciate you doing everything you've done. I wish you the best. Be careful on those roads, man. I'll share something with you real quick, but me as an individual, I've been in 24 car accidents. So I mean, I don't know what that is by Russian standards, but by American standards, people say get the fuck off the road. But it's not. Only two of them have been my fault. So I mean, it's,
You know, my wife, she has no accident history, but we got hit by another car, so there was nothing we could do.
yeah. Well, that's one
Yeah.
accident. You know what I
So
mean?
we were until a few days ago.
Well, anyways, I want to thank you, Dima, for being on the show. Uh,
Thank you.
you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Eric.
You're welcome. And stay in touch. Hey, check them out. Socks for Cocks, man. I recommend them, man. I really like them, man. If you're looking for your caffeine without the caffeine, if you're looking for a pick me up, check these guys out. They'll get you picked up. So I wish you the best of luck, man, and keep on doing what you're doing. And hopefully you'll catch on out west.
Right.
All right.
Peace, man.
All right. We're going to play some Socks for Cocks next, so check them out. Enjoy. This is the ED Show, Fanzine.